Hello, welcome to the podcast today. Karma is really interesting, and it's really interesting when it comes to money. I wanted to make this podcast because there can be karmic financial situations that you get into, and once you understand that, will actually make it easier for you to realize why things are happening. Because it's not just a human thing, it will be on a soul level. When there are imbalances with money or finances, or there's been fraud or loss, the karma needs to be balanced in other lives. We might have a life where we lent somebody a lot of money and they didn't pay us back or whatever, or they lost the money or even stole the money. And then we'll have another life where that person will have to pay the karma back and they'll have to pay the money back. In those situations, we will have setups where they can now pay the money back and sort of balance it and do the right thing. You sometimes look around and see how there are imbalances, that one person seems to be paying a lot of money towards something or investing in someone, and you can look at it and think, why are they doing that? That's a lot of investment, or they're giving them a lot of money. Try to see it differently. Sometimes they're balancing some karma. For example, if somebody has helped you in another life, then maybe this life you've got to help them. I had an example of this. We had an older couple that we knew who were pensioners, and they had a daughter that they were worried about. She didn't have a house, and we went down to visit them. I actually felt sorry for my husband this day, and we were sitting with them, and out of my mouth I just popped and I just said, we'll buy the house. We'll buy a house for her and we'll pay it off. And my husband on the way home said, what did you do? I said, well, it just felt right. It actually all turned out right. We bought the house, the pensioners helped to pay her rent, and when they died, they left us money to make up for that. We bought the house. But at the time when I did it, it was very much a spiritual moment, and I just knew I had to buy the house so that they could, one of them was very ill, dying of cancer, so one of them could go, knowing the daughter had a house to live in. That was always going to be her home. Because that was the agreement, that we would buy it and she would always be able to live there. The person knew that she was always taken care of. I know that in some other life, my friend was called Margaret and Bob, and I know that they helped us in another life, and I knew I was repaying some karmic debt financially to them. That's how you can tell it's karmic, because it's something a little bit more than you should do. When I used to tell other people, they were completely shocked because we had 3 children. It was a struggle to do this house thing. But it actually all worked out really, really well in the end. When you look at these situations, and that's why I'm sharing this with you, you will see there is some strangeness in it, or what people don't normally do, and that's paying and balancing the karmic debt. So in my life with them, I balanced it. We did that. And then they had time to rebalance it back, so that in the end, it got balanced on both sides. There was huge trust between both of us, and we could always feel that the other person, we could do money with them and it would be fine. Also trust your instincts when it comes to money. If you have been with people who have swindled or defrauded you or stolen money from you in other lives, they might not have changed. Your feeling might be some reticence to do business with them. I always suggest to people that if you've been given a business proposition, that you don't say yes straight away unless it feels totally right, that you go away and sleep on it. While I'm sleeping, I always ask Spirit to give me the answer. And if you feel it's a good deal but it doesn't feel right, I would go with that, because sometimes we're also being tested to see if we're going to do the same thing with them again and not set ourselves up to be defrauded again. The situations that we can get into financially can be very complicated with people. Always trust your instinct. Some of it will be a karmic balance. Others might be a karmic balance in the sense that you have to say no now. That can also really be a karmic balance where you actually, they present you with something and you've learnt the lesson and you pay the karma back by not getting involved again and being taken for a ride, basically. Karmic Money balance can also be in providing for somebody else financially. For example, you might have a son or a brother or somebody who needs money to do a course, to go to uni, to travel somewhere, to do some work, and you know you have to pay for it and it will be okay. And that can be karmic too, because in other lives maybe they paid things for you or supported you financially. When you're paying the karma back, it will actually always feel like a good thing. You might not know how you're going to pay it back, but Spirit always provides somehow. There's always some help given, so it's not too much of a strain on the purse strings. Be aware that it's good to pay back the karma with the money, and also be aware that it's good to always understand that karmic balance is one of the reasons that we've come back, to balance some karma out. It might seem ludicrous to other people, or when you tell them about it, they might second guess you or come from a human perspective. But if it feels right for you, then it is right. Often we are supporting people who've supported us in other lives. We might not have the memory of it as a human, but our soul will remember and know to do it. That is why people are doing what other people think is stupid. They're putting themselves out financially for somebody and knowing it's the right thing to do. Do not second guess yourself with this. You will know. If you know you're supposed to help someone, like I knew with the house, I just came out of my mouth, but I also just knew this was what I was supposed to do. My friend could die in peace knowing her daughter was taken care of. That was greater than the money. And I actually knew Spirit would take care of it. I freaked my husband out, but it all turned out fine, and I didn't have a bad feeling about it. And that's the other thing. I didn't have a bad feeling. I should have. I should have been scared, but I wasn't. I just knew, no, this is what I'm supposed to do. Let's just do that. You can also have other situations where you get into karmic debt with people, in terms of not the usual debt I'm talking about spiritually, even though it does have that aspect, I suppose. I'm talking about literal karmic debt with people. For example, if your daughter or son wants you to be sponsor to something like buying a house and you feel it's the right thing to do, it could be karmic debt that you're paying back, not just the parent thing, but it's the timing and that you need to do that for them now. Many people have very strong rules around finances, and you've got to earn it and deserve it, and you've got to work for your money and learn the value of money, and got all these little things they say. However, when it comes to repaying our karmic financial debt, all of those just go out the window and you'll just do what you intuitively feel is right. Usually you get it correct and the karma is then balanced. Always know that Spirit will help you. So if you're a bit worried about it, always ask for guidance and tell them to give you the feeling. The feeling's the best one, not the head stuff. The feeling, if it feels right, if it doesn't feel right. And follow your gut, because that will be right. I know that I have had some karmic financial lessons. I had a situation where I was left out of a will with my father, actually. And I could have gone and tried to fight it, but I just knew the money would come later, and it did, from another source. You need to have some kind of understanding of that. My father will need to pay that karma back to me in some ways. It might not be through a life, but it will be given to me in another way. And after he died, the other money came through. You've got to be able to see that happening as well, that sometimes I feel he could pay the karma back to me when he was on the other side. That's how it worked for us. When you start looking at your life, you will see these things. I suggest too that there will be times when you give money to people and don't lend them money. I've done that. Just gave them the $1,000 with no strings attached. I'm just giving you that money. If they want to pay you back, they do. But if they don't, it could be that it's a karmic thing that you're paying them back, actually, or maybe they lent you money at another time or were good to you financially and took care of you, and now you just give it back. You'll know when to do it both ways. Sometimes it is a loan, but sometimes it will just be you give them the money, and that's the end of the story. Money tends to rule this world. It's also implicated with power and control and success and ego. But this karmic financial payback is a completely different spiritual practice. And I want you to do what you think is right, regardless of what other people say. When we lose money, don't feel too worried about that. Often spirit will replace it. And when we give money, don't worry about what other people think, because you're often just repaying karmic financial debt back to that person. Look around, you'll see it's happened in your life, and you will find it happens more in your life as you ascend, because you will probably be trying to burn quite a lot of karma this life. In the end, it's just money, and it just buys things. So don't worry about it, it'll come back. I have great faith in that. And Spirit take care of us, they always do. Paying back our karma through finance is a good thing to do, so do it. I'm sending you love and light, and I hope that things are going well in your world.